You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
I almost said from the border of liberty and prosperity in the highway to the north, but we're nowhere near that. We are south, and we'll leave it at that point. That cryptic message there. We won't specify where we are or where we are going. Having a great time. Decided to take a couple of days off and head south. So, been a couple of days. Sorry about that, but we had a lot of stuff going on. So, we're going to be sharing with you some of the safety news out there. I actually did something I don't normally do. I tweeted, or X'd, whatever you want to call it, the president and said, look, you got to put up the press releases on your website out there, on the Department of Labor website. That was a very good idea. You could check that out. I am Safety Wars on X, or Skylander, Skylander 52 on X. So, as you all know, there's been a lot of dismissals, layoffs, what have you there over on the federal side of the government since the new administration came in. Unfortunately, they are going hog wild here and not double checking what the people are actually doing that they're laying off here. Reportedly, there was about 75,000 people who took the early buyout here, which was a lot less than their target of about 150,000, roughly. This is one of their targets. I don't know. We'll see how this all works out there. So here we go. USDA accidentally fired officials working on bird flu and now is trying to rehire them. Unlike a lot of the people in the Forest Service, and this is one of the... I had an opportunity going to a similar field, their forestry service, back in a long time ago. We'll leave it at that. Right? The path not taken. But one of the problems with the fire service is, obviously not the fire service, with anything in the having to do with the forestry, that's what I meant to say. With forestry, forest management, there's really no private analog for that. So, you have all this stuff going, there's no analog for that. Fire service, of course, you could become a career fire person. A lot of people become safety professionals for the fire service, things of that nature. But on the federal end, on the National Park Service, no real analog. However, when you're dealing with the USDA, different story. Specifically dealing with infectious diseases and how they impact the food supply for animals or livestock and everything else. That's a different story. There's a lot of private analog, at least private examples, where you can get private employment on that, working for a pharmaceutical or something like that. So if they get rid of these folks with agency level experience, then, right, with agency level experience, now what are you going to do to replace those people? That's a much harder nut to crack than some of the other professions out there. And there was much rejoicing when reportedly there's going to be 6,000 IRS agents to let go. So, sorry about that. We are out on a hotel balcony with a lot of other stuff going on. But essentially, that's what we come down with here, is with everything. They're letting go a lot of people. Guess what? A lot of them are going to be scooped up by private industry. So here's some other news off of Bloomberg. Lifestyle beats genetics on path to premature death, a study finds. This is a story by Naomi Kresge. Environmental lifestyle factors play a far greater role than genetics in determining the likelihood of dying young, according to the largest study yet to untangle the contributions of nature versus nurture. That's an age-old argument here. There are a range of external factors, including exercise and smoking, collectively dubbed the exposum, was almost 10 times more likely than genetic risk factors explain premature mortality, scientists from the University of Oxford and Massachusetts General Hospital said. Well, one thing I will say about this is, the people are looking a lot younger. You look back at our pictures of our parents and grandparents at our age, they look, wrinkled skin and things of that nature, cigarette smoking, having a lot more drinking, things of that nature. So I think people are maybe it's because I'm getting older, but people are looking a lot younger than they used to on that. So maybe it has some credence there. So say a prayer out there for the Pope. I hate to see anybody sick out there, whether you agree with him or not. But Pope has warned confidants he may not survive a health scare. So Pope Francis has privately told confidants he may not survive an ongoing health scare that has seen him hospitalized, according to a report citing two sources familiar with the situation. The website Politico reported late Monday evening that the 88-year-old pontiff, who is being treated for polymicrobial infection of the respiratory tract, sounds like some kind of pneumonia, is rushing to tie up some loose ends ahead of the battle to succeed him. So, I've known some people, who were assistants to cardinals And when they've asked about this whole selection problem with the Pope, all of them are sworn to secrecy here. So we don't, no one's really allowed to know what goes on there. So I'd love to know what those loose ends are that he's tying up, but, good luck in finding out what those are, for sure. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Now, this is going on with a lot of celebrities out there. Is Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's LA home is ransacked. So this is another battle in the safety wars, home security, where they note that people are not going to be out of place. So, for example, an athlete will know, someone will know that, hey, this guy is playing on the road, he's going to be on the road, and before you know it, there are break-ins. And it seems to be a nationwide trend. From what I've read, this is some type of organized crime, nationwide thing is what the FBI is considering it. So if you're a celebrity that listens to this, and there are a couple I found out, be aware of your own personal security. Let's take a lesson, a page on everybody's book on this one. All right. Now, Canine Hurricane. Right, this is our feel-good story for the day. The most decorated dog in U.S. history has died. Canine Hurricane, a 16-year-old Belgian Malinois, was the most decorated dog in U.S. history, and he has passed away recently. As much as we knew this time was coming, there was no way to prepare. We missed him so much, a huge hole that can never be replaced, Sailor Marshall Mirachi said on Monday. So he worked for the Secret Service, and actually in 2014, the dog took down a White House intruder and was protecting the first family. Again, we tend to be anthropocentrically based here in a lot of our views on the news, but realize we do have a lot of animals that play an important role for everybody in our society, and we got to recognize that with that. Okay, what else we got here? This is off of VOA, Voice of America, VOA, Kurdish. I guess I have a VOA Kurdish channel. The SDF says it will be joining the Syrian army. The International Coalition Against ISIS has expressed its support for the dialogue between the Syrian Democratic Forces and the new Syrian government. On Monday, the SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces, the Autonomous Administration, and the Syrian Democratic Council decided in a meeting that SDF will join the Syrian army. Officials and commentators evaluating this topic right now. I'm sure you'll hear more about it. So, let's see. Will they give us a full story in English? No, it's all in Kurdish, which is fine, but I don't speak Kurdish. Russian attack injures at least 4 in Odessa. Officials in southern Ukraine said Wednesday that Russian aerial attacks overnight injured hold on. And we lost it. There we go. Russia's, here we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Odessa Governor Oleg Kuiper said on Telegram that Russian forces carried out what he called a massive drone attack that disrupted power and heat services. He said the damage included the children's clinic and a kindergarten. So 4 people were killed, and there are some other things damaged. Now, President, rightly or wrongly, that's President Trump, trying to broker a peace deal here, but they have not included the Ukrainians. They're a little bit upset here with this, but the argument is that, no, there's a lot of wheels turning here. One, trying to de-escalate the war. Okay, we understand that. De-escalating the war is good. But we can't remember. We got to remember, peace at any price is not good either. Here, and we also have a severe ammunition shortage here in the West. Years of environmental, and this is where the safety war comes into it. Environmental, what's the word I'm looking for? Environmental protection, specifically smelting of lead. We had a reduction in capacity in the early 2010s, which resulted in an ammunition shortage. And you ask any hunter, any law enforcement officer, a lot of shortages here. If you remember, it occurred during the end of the Obama administration. A lot of federal agencies, who I had no idea had armed agents, IRS, EPA I knew about, very few, and several other organizations, Social Security Administration being one, they have armed officers. They were buying hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammunition. Now, is that the heavy arms like for a war? No, but it's still a lot of ammunition shortages out there with that, and we reduced our capacity to create ammunition. So I'm sure that's having a factor here with that, and there's been no official, right? I haven't heard of anything out there to restart these smelters or anything like that. So this is going to be an ongoing issue that we're going to have to face here in this country, in the West here. And also, it's all that money. Now, a lot of money going out the door here with that, right? And with a protracted war, that's not doesn't bode well for any of us here. So the United Arab Emirates, this is off of VOA News, says it rejects any attempt to displace the Palestinian people. United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan told the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio that the UAE rejects any attempts to displace the Palestinian people from their land. UAE, Rubio made a visit today. I haven't gotten the report yet. As of this recording, UAE state media reported the comments and said the president's highlighted the need to prevent an expansion of the conflict in Gaza. So we'll see how this works out here with that. With that. Again, I think, can you take the president seriously or not? I don't know. Right? Does the ends justify the means? I have no idea. But one thing is for sure, don't always talk about what the president requests, but no, don't believe that, but believe the sincerity that he wants the war ended, right? And to mix things up sometimes is the only way to get people to move. Right, that's a common business tactic out there, where people say things just to get a reaction out of you, and to try to move the ball forward. I think that's what's going on here. Once the president said he wants to move people out of Gaza and put them in their own homeland somewhere else that's not going to be in dispute there, because right now we're dealing with a huge humanitarian crisis, and without the benefit of USAID, it's probably a little bit more challenging to manage something like this, would be my thinking. Okay, and of course, let's point it out. I'm not really qualified to talk about this, but monetary policy. There's always stuff going on with monetary policy. When it comes down to it, is this. We have in this country $38 trillion in debt. We're definitely a trillion here and a trillion there. Before you know it, you're dealing with real money. And if we don't tear down their debt here, eventually this is going to mean something. I've been hearing this since I'm about 10 or 11 years old about the national debt. But it was only a couple $100 million at that point, under $1 billion. Now we're getting into some pretty serious stuff here with that. Don't quote me on the number there, but it was something a lot less here. And the more money on the street, the less value your money has. Real simple. And the U.S. reportedly is trying to refinance all this stuff within the next 2 years. A lot of stuff there is going to be open for negotiation. So maybe that has a reason for all these cuts and everything to put us into a better financial situation. I hope so. With that. All right, now, the United States has more than doubled the number of detainees. Both those seem to be a high threat, as well as others slated for deportation at the U.S. Navy base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. As of Tuesday, there were more than 120 of what the administration calls criminal aliens under guard at a detention facility, and about 50 other individuals are also being held at the base's migrant facility, which is being ready to hold non-violent individuals. So I guess why are we doing this? Maybe we can't find a place for some of these folks, so they're putting into Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. There. So let's see how this works out here. Now, the whole thing with all these government cuts we're dealing with out there, the real simply put, with all these government cuts, and this is the way it goes. Republicans have their pet projects, Democrats have their pet projects. So here we have a situation where the President Trump signed an executive order to study how to expand access to IVF, in vitro fertilization, and make it more affordable. Now, realize something. We have a demographic issue in the West. Huge, in the East too, but in the West, huge demographic issue. We've gone into deep dives on this in the past here. So our birth rate is very low, what do we need? How are we addressing this? Democratic administration, and President Clinton swerved into this in October on the campaign trail for Vice President Harris in October. We don't have enough people in this country, in the West. So my question is this whole thing, is this to raise the birth rate here? All right, it's like this, and I'm going to say something controversial here, as I normally often do on this show. We do not have a replacement, enough to replace the population, so we're always going to have immigrants here, right? To straighten out our demographic situation, from what I've understand, this is going to require every couple, however we want to define that, to have 4 children, or at least 2 generations. In reality, I do not see that happening. Our society right now is set up so we cannot afford, most people, more than 2 children. Now, I know that's another controversial thing, but I don't see, at least with the women that I know, all of them having 4 kids, and their daughters wanting them to have 4 kids, just the way it is. I live in the Northeast. Down south, different story. Southern United States, higher birth rates. Inner cities, again, higher birth rates, and everything else. I don't really see that happening with large families, at least where I live, in my community. So the question is, how do we resolve that? And that's got to be an ongoing debate here, but I think this might be one of the ways that Donald Trump is trying to resolve the issue, is to increase the birth rate. People, I got comments on Nextdoor, right, which is a local social media group in the United States. Oh, you're talking like a conspiracy theorist. Really, I'm not a conspiracy theorist here, but I try to identify the trends that I see happening with all this stuff. So trends are very important, and if you can see the trends out there, you can plan better out there. 66 measles cases reported in the U.S. states of Texas and New Mexico. 58 cases of the highly contagious disease were reported on Tuesday by health officials in rural Texas, while 8 cases were confirmed in neighboring eastern New Mexico. Now, reportedly, these were according to VOA News, I don't have an author of this story here. Reportedly, these were in unvaccinated communities, or in communities with low vaccination rates here. Right, and who handles the vaccinations in these communities is usually the state and locals. We went through this a couple years ago in Rockland County before the pandemic. And there are communities, so measles, for example, if memory serves me right, has a 1 to 17 infection rate, 1 in 14, something around that, meaning for every one person who gets it, 14 to people roughly get the measles. With COVID, it's a lot less than that. It's a lot less than that. It's like 4 or 5 when I took the training for COVID. That's what they were talking about for contact tracing. So, essentially, this could spread to other communities like that, and I'm not anti-vaccine. So, consider, and I'm not going to give medical advice, but consider talking it over with your medical provider. Find out if you need to do that. In my town, what they were afraid of was, in my area, Rockland County, New York, was that there is a demographic there and community that has a low vaccination rate, and there's a lot of anti-vaccination people within that community, which the religious leaders said is not what they convey, not what they preach. But essentially, they had a woman going through a department store trying to get people infected. Why? Because one of the ways that they used to inoculate people before the measles vaccination was to get everybody else sick, like with chicken pox. Now you're inoculated. Get you sick when you're strong, that sort of thing. But remember, there is a mortality rate to all of these childhood diseases. So I have to question the ethics, especially now in 2025, of deliberately getting someone sick. I do. We had people like that during COVID. Well, we're going to deliberately get our children sick, blah, blah, blah. Well, again, very low fatality rate with COVID for children. However, people did die. People do have long-term COVID over this stuff that they're trying to manage and everything else. A little bit unethical, in my opinion, to start sending people out to get deliberately sick. Sorry, that's me. I mean, we're not even allowed to do double-blind studies on a lot of medications out there, vaccinations. Why? Because people get sick and people can die. That's like Dr. Mengele territory there, with that. Not necessary. If you don't know who Dr. Mengele is and you're like under 35, you could go and Google that, right? Don't trust the AI. Google it. Senate confirms Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary. Senate confirmed wealthy financier Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary Tuesday, putting in place a staunch supporter of President Donald Trump's hardline trade policies. The Commerce Department, Lutnick, who was CEO at the investment firm Cantor Fitzgerald, will oversee 50,000 employees who do everything from collecting economic statistics to running the census to issuing weather reports. But he's likely to spend a lot of time, along with Jamieson Greer, Trump's nominee to be the top U.S. trade negotiator, managing the president's aggressive plans to impose import taxes on U.S. trading partners, including allies and adversaries. All right, so sometimes the Commerce Department does get involved in the safety world as far as weather reports and some of the census data. I mean, the census data I'm a little bit annoyed with, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm okay with census taking for apportionment of the Electoral College and representatives, right, for Congress. I got it. The lower house of Congress, which impacts the Electoral College, no problem at all. However, when you get an intrusive, very intrusive questionnaires, and I seem to be on the hit list because I keep answering them. If you're a business owner, I start to have a little bit of an issue with that. I haven't taken it up yet. Maybe now I will. First time I heard of this was in the post office in Clarkstown, New York, New City. Senate advances nomination of Trump FBI pick Kash Patel. I was talking to one of the people behind the counter there, like I normally do. Right? They get to know you. You go to the post office, that sort of thing. And they said, one of the guys said, "Oh, my friend Kash Patel, probably going to be FBI director." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I know him personally. Great guy." I said, "Okay," and pretty funny the things that you find out at the post office. And it looks like his nomination is being advanced. Still, we're on the holdout for Secretary of Labor and the head of OSHA here for this. They had, last I checked, they haven't been scheduled, and that was late last week. Maybe their status changed. I'll get back to you on that. But with that. So here's from the telegraph.co.uk. Article by Richard Goodwin. We're in a short side of this epidemic, and we never saw it coming. This is with glasses, apparently. Every morning, shortly after checking my phone and shortly before brushing my teeth, I pulled down my lower eyelids and turn and smudge a contact lens, blah, 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 blah. Basically, there is an epidemic of nearsightedness. Probably from these damn computers and these damn cell phones here. So, again, I don't know with that. I know I had the corrective surgery a number of years ago for that, and it, it's, and I'm wearing glasses again, which they predicted. And my father's eye doctor said, your eyes are the same as your father's, and you're probably not going to need glasses in another 10 years. It's just the way it runs for proposal males. Now, on to EPA news. Here. Now, unlike the Department of Labor, the EPA has been keeping up to date on stuff here with everything here. Hopefully, now, again, the way it is. Administrator Zeldin approves West Virginia's Class 6 privacy application. The action expands cooperative federalism, right, meaning local. Federalism, you think federal government. Federalism is like local stuff here. Gives West Virginia primary authority to protect groundwater and bolsters energy dominance. Today, the U.S., and this is from February 18th, yesterday, U.S. EPA signed a final rule approving the state of West Virginia's request to regulate the injection of carbon dioxide, CO2, into deep rock formations. Administrator Zeldin was joined by U.S. Department of Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, Senator Shelley Moore Capito, and Congressman Riley Moore for the signing ceremony, all Republicans, right? Granting the state primacy for Class 6 wells under the Safe Drinking Water Act, EPA recognizes that West Virginia is best positioned to protect underground sources of drinking water while bolstering energy independence and dominance. This marks the fourth time a state has received primary Class 6 wells since 2018, the third approval under President Trump's leadership. See how that works out there. So, EPA So the EPA announces $147 million WFIA loan to increase drinking water reliability in South Florida. Today, the U.S. EPA, Lee Zeldin announced a $147 million water infrastructure finance, a WFIA loan to the Florida Police Aqueduct Authority. The announcement follows EPA's Powering the Great American Comeback initiative that affirms the agency's commitment to protecting human health and the environment while remaining good stewards of tax dollars and advancing policies to energize the economy. This loan will help the authority ensure reliability and longevity of the drinking water infrastructure, serving 150,000 people while creating local jobs. Like I said, the Republicans are like the Democrats in a lot of ways. They got their projects there, and they like to fund. So the EPA also announced a $110 million loan to enhance drinking water reliability in drought-prone region of Utah. So EPA, again, $110 million water WIFIA loan to Weber Basin Water Conservancy. And this loan will help the district provide reliable drinking water to 5 counties, supporting over 20% of Utah's population. Good cost benefit on that, probably. EPA has hit 75 complete milestone in the agency's largest ever wildfire cleanup, and this is in LA County, California. Now, we are going to be releasing some more commentary on Rumble and YouTube on this. A little bit political. We have downloaded the latest LA Fire Commissioner meeting, and we will be issuing some commentary on that in the next day or so, God willing. Again, I'm on vacation. What am I going to do? So, with that, very, very interesting, and it's called a duck and cover move by everyone. It was so exciting. I got some commentary from a retired firefighter in a place that you heard of. We'll leave it at that. I'm not sharing his name, and his commentary is very, very interesting here. EPA directing, so they hit the 75 complete mark on the cleanup in LA, and Administrator Zeldin saves over $1 million for American taxpayers in canceled media subscriptions. So they spend $1.1 million in media contracts annually, and it's like this. If you're a policy analyst, like I am, by education, I'm a policy analyst here, and there's a lot of policy analysis jobs in these agencies. Yeah, you probably need a media subscription. Question is, how much? Is everybody doing it? There's a lot of questions. So I could see that, right, that certain people, certain individuals need that. I don't know what the context is, and that's always where the devils are in the details. Was this open access, closed access? What were the details of these media contracts? So there's a lot of questions on were they being used to subsidize media groups. I tell you what, there was a local paper in Central Jersey that gave me bad coverage when I was on the track team in high school, and I said I'll never buy another one of those papers. Is that what is going on here, where the administration doesn't want to subsidize people who are giving them bad coverage? Don't know. That's a valid question for all of us. And nothing else going on there. Now, let's see. Again, a lot of stuff going on this is from Fox 11 out of California here. So a lot of stuff going on with wildlife mortgage relief. Again, Gavin Newsom is allocating $125 million mortgage relief program. LA County, what's going on? There was a press conference yesterday on rebuilding efforts, and that mentioned the press release from the EPA and all this other good stuff going on. So, again, my wife is giving me the signal. So, the 5-minute signal. So, we're going to dinner. So, that's all I got. I will be back later on with more info. And let's see, what's going on. So for Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel. I'm looking forward to hearing you tomorrow. But we are going to come out on Rumble and YouTube, and X is the other one, with the video and commentary on the Fire Commissioner meeting in LA from February 4th. Very, very interesting. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.